Asmat Gurubhyo Namaha, Asmat Parama Gurubhyo Namaha, Asmat Sarva Gurubhyo Namaha. Okay, I just started the recording. We're talking about Anaprasana Samskara, and Anaprasana Samskara is the giving of the solid food, specifically grains, to the child at approximately the 6-month period when the child begins to eat or wants to eat. Some children before 6 months they want to eat. Some children, so they want to eat solid food, so they get introduced to solid food by giving them prasadam, the solid food. Specifically, we do with some mantras which are similar to the mantras which we use in Brahmana Bhojana. This prana, pana, vyana, udana, samana, offering to the different 5 life airs: pranaya swaha, apanaya swaha, vyanaya swaha, udanaya swaha, samanaya swaha. So in Brahmana, there's actually 10 life airs, but we normally only mention 5. When you do the pratista, prana pratista, if you get into that when we are doing the prana pratista for the deity, we mention all 10 of there are some other ones, Krikara, Dhananjaya, I forget all the names, but anyway, there's 5 other smaller ones, and the 5 main life airs that are prana, pana, vyana, udana, samana. And these 5 life airs, we offer into the fire of digestion. We offer grains and ghee, because we take rice and we put a little bit of ghee on. Usually you have to put a little ghee on the rice anyway before you eat. That's the system. And then when we do Brahmana Bhojana, we're taking 1 piece or a couple of pieces with the 2 fingers, and we throw it in the back of the mouth and swallow without chewing. And this is called Brahma Bhojana. Before you do that, you do Parisechanam. You put the water around the plate, and with Gayatri, sprinkle a little water on the food, and then Om Pranaya Swaham. First of all, take some water in the hand. This is usually Charnamrita, Tirtha, water. Om Amritopastaramasi. You keep material body is a dirty thing, so we keep, first of all, we wash with Charnamrita. We put some Charnamrita there, then we put the prasadam on top, and we finish also with some more Charnamrita on top and put it inside. But in the end of the meal, Amrita Piradamasi, we say when we take that. So, but in the first few offerings, first few bites of the food, we don't chew them. We just take a grain and throw it down the back of the throat like that, swallow it. This ghee, this rice and ghee, grains and ghee, is offered into the fire of digestion. So Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says, I'm the fire of digestion. So we offer this. Is called Pran Agnihotra. So when we do Agnihotra, usually it's outside. You know, we have a standila, we have a kunda, we have a fire altar, and we take grains and we take ghee, and we offer ghee and grains into the fire, swaha. So when we eat, we offer that into the mouth, into the fire of digestion. That is, we should meditate that is being offered into the fire of digestion. That fire of digestion is Krishna, is the Lord. So Pranaya Swaha, Apanaya Swaha, Om Dhyanaya Swaha, Mutanaya Swaha, Samanaya Swaha, Brahmani Swaha, Brahmani Vatma Amritatvaya, and Vaishnavas usually say, Sri Govindaya Namaha. And then after you do all that, then you can touch your mouth. Before that, you shouldn't touch the mouth. You should just flick those, little single pieces of rice in the back of the throat. And so in India, the idea is when you do tiffin, when you have a light meal or a snack, the snack means you don't have to do that for a snack. You just break off a piece and throw it in the mouth without touching the mouth. But if you actually want to touch the mouth and have a whole meal, you're supposed to do the Parisechanam first.
Oh, yeah. Wow. This is, you're talking about daily. This is the every day.
You have to eat every day. You have to eat every
Yeah.
day. Yeah.
Nice. Interesting.
Let's see. I'm going to spotlight me first. Okay. Rather than sometimes you have people talking and it goes back and forth. If you want, we can put everybody's there, but otherwise it's not necessary. Okay. Vishwanath is there. Welcome.
Thank you, Swamiji. Hare Krishna.
So we are just discussing, Raghunath is in, can you see Raghunath? No. Okay, we can go back to, I can unspotlight myself if you like. Okay, so we were just discussing with Raghunath in Alachua that he did an anaprasana yesterday. Anaprasana is the samskara where we offer solid food to the babies when they desire to eat solid food, or approximately 6 months of age. And it is very similar. The mantras are very similar. The offering to the 5 life heirs is very similar to what we do when brahmanas eat, when the brahmana bhojanam. I have, if you haven't seen, if anybody wants to see, I have video, a nice video of a brahmin doing the parisechanam and what we call pranagnihotra, offering of the 5 morsels of food which are offered, which are thrown into the mouth before the beginning of the meal. This is the correct Brahminical system of how to eat. So we do the same thing with the baby, but the baby, of course, isn't a Brahmin and doesn't know how to do these things. So we just offer into the. First of all, he was saying he did in an elaborate way with a fire sacrifice with a homa, and in the homa, of course, the fire is considered to be the mouth of Vishnu, and the flames are like the tongue of the Lord, and we offer ghee and grains into the fire. That is called yagya, yagyavai Vishnu, yagya for Vishnu. And so in the same way, every day when we eat, we're eating grains and we're eating milk products, unless we're vegans, I guess. And even then, whatever food we put in, right, the food is offered to the Lord. Food is offered to the Lord. Of course, we offer the Lord food first, and then afterwards we eat the prasadam, which is the leftover remnants. But even then, before we have the full meal, in the beginning, there are some rituals that Brahmins perform. They put water around the plate with the Gayatri. They sprinkle some water on the food, and they take 5 morsels, 5 little grains of rice with ghee, and flick it down the back of the throat, and swallow it without chewing. And they offer to the life heirs, because in the Gita, Krishna says, "I am the fire of digestion." Right? I'm the fire of digestion. So the fire of digestion is there in the stomach, and we're offering into the fire in the same way. It's a meditation. It's a meditation while you're eating. So putting the water around and sprinkling, and then take some tirtha or charnamrita, plain water or holy water in the palm of the right hand, and Om Amrito Pastaranamasi. I take the Amrita and put the water in there first into the body, and then at the end of the meal we're also going to put some water, Amrita Pidanamasi, but in the middle we can put the food, that means the meal. So beginning of the meal, offer to the 5 life heirs, prana, apana, vyana, udana, and samana. So Om Pranaya Swaha, Om Apanaya Swaha, Om Vyanaya Swaha, Om Udanaya Swaha, Om Samanaya Swaha. And then after we say that, we say Brahmaniva Atma Amritvaya, and the Vaishnavas say Shri Govindaya Namaha. And after we say Shri Govindaya Namaha, then we can touch our mouth and we can eat properly. We can fully enjoy eating the meal. And when we're finished, then we Om Amrita Pidanamasi. And then we put some water on the hand, turned upside down, drip over the salt. Some people, there's so many little customs. Yeah, when you sit on the floor and they put a leaf plate in front of you and they put the salt in a certain place. So because at the end of the meal you have to get up and you have to go to wash your hands, right? So on the way to washing your hands, something may fall off your hand on the floor. That won't be good. That'll be not good thing. So even before you wash your hands, you have to wash your hand before you wash your hands. You have to do something. So what they put a little bit of water in the hand and turn it upside down. Turn it upside down and drip. Those drips get dripped on the salt. You have like a little heap of salt on your plate, unless you used it up, and that will absorb that water, so it doesn't go everywhere on the floor. Even some people, what they do is they take their wet hand after they washed a little bit. They take the wet hand and they place it on the floor and front and back, and make a handprint before they go walk to the tap. So just so they don't make a mess on the way. Of course, where they're eating, there'll be a mess, but that'll be cleaned up. But they don't want to drip all the way to the wash basin. So they go and they wash. Actually, there's also some other. There's so many other things that people don't do these days. But there's another thing where when they wash the hand, after you wash the hand, they drip water from the right hand down the arm, off the elbow onto the big toe. Okay, there's a reason for that. Don't ask me what it is. We have to do some more research on that. Okay, and depending upon the community, like Smartas and Madhvas, they may do slightly different things. Like for instance, the Madhvas, when Madhvas have a meal, they not only do the parisechana, Madhva Brahmins, and they not only do the parisechana, but of putting the water around the food before they eat it. But before they do the prana, apana, abhyana, udana, samana, offering into the fire of digestion, that prana agnihotra, before they do that, they first of all have to offer some to other people. So they, on the side of the plate or on the floor just next to the plate, they make 4 little piles and they go, Om Yamaya Namaha, Yamarajaya Namaha, Dharmaya Yamaya Namaha, Yamarajaya Namaha, Chitraya Namaha, Chitraguptaya Namaha, Dharmaya Namaha, Sarvabhutaya Namaha, like this. So Yamaraj, all the Bhutas, Chitra and Chitragupta, right? They have to offer to those people. Okay, who Chitra and Chitragupta are?
I don't.
Okay, so when you die and you go to Yamaloka, okay? So when you're in Yamaloka, you get called in front of the boss. You get called in front of the it's like a court, yeah. And there's 2 people there, assistants of Yamaraj. They're like Yamaraj is the judge, and there are 2 other people there who are like the helping in the court. Okay, it's Chitra and Chitragupta. Okay, so this guy Chitra, he's Yamaraj will say, okay, what are all the good and bad things that this person has done? So Chitra has a big book and he'll look it up and he'll say, oh, look, he did this and this and this, he did all these things. And then you maybe you object, maybe you say, oh, no, this is not true, like that. But the other guy there is Chitragupta and he'll go, no, I saw him do it. He's the witness. So that, of course, the Lord is in our heart. He sees everything that we do, knows everything that we think. But anyway, this is the concept. The concept of going to Yamaloka is it's like a court scene and a little bit of a drama that goes on. And then once they prove that you did so many good things and so many bad things, then there's a judgment. If you did good things, you go to heaven. If you did bad things, you go to hell. And or whatever, you have to take a rebirth. Anyway, this is the Quranic conception of what happens after death, like that. Okay, so we can just think like that. It'll help us to do good things and not bad things. All right. So the Madhvas, they think, okay, so I'm taking food, I'm having my meal like that, so I'm enjoying. So why don't I give a little bakshish? I should give a little bribe. I should give something to these guys, because after death I'm going to get judged. So why don't I? So Chitraya Namaha, Chitraguptaya Namaha. First of all, to the clerk and to the witness, right? Chitraya Namaha, Chitraguptaya Namaha, Yamaya Namaha, to Yamaraj, the judge, and Sarvabhutaya Namaha, just to cover all the bases. Everybody there gets a little bit of bakshish, a little bit of a donation or a bribe. Just treat me well when I come there, okay? After death. So every meal there, offering a little bit like this. Madhva people do it. So maybe some Smartas also do it like that. Vaishnavas, we don't do it. Hopefully we're not going there to that court, okay? Hopefully we'll go some other place. Some eternal place, Sri Vaikuntham, Goloka, whatever. So anyway, but this is part of the Varnashrama system. The Brahmins have to eat like this. This whole system is called Brahmana Bhojana. And the Anaprasana Samskara is the beginning. It's the first Brahmana Bhojana for the child. And they do it for all children, whether it's, I mean, this could actually be a pramana, this could be a proof. We could say, well, if the anaprasana is done for the children, even the female children, even the sudras, if they're doing, well, sudras, there's no samskaras for sudras, okay, in Varnashram. But at the same time, if we're doing anaprasana for somebody, then maybe they should continue to do that as they grow up. But we see actually in actual reality, what happens is that the parents, when the child wants solid food, the parents are going to call the priest, or they're going to go to the temple, and they're going to arrange for some prasadam to be there to feed the child as a solid food before they give the solid food to him at the house. The idea is that whatever we do, the first time we do something in our lives, we should try to do it in a spiritual way. And that way it helps us to purify our life. The samskaras are for purifying the life. So so when the child is born, there's a samskara. Then the next stage is the child wants to eat solid food. So there should be a samskara. Then, the child has to have the ears pierced. The child has to have the Brahmin thread. The child has to have, graduate from the Gurukula, then has to be married. There are so many samskaras, and we know that. How many samskaras are there? Pop quiz for you guys. How many samskaras are there supposed to be? Now, remember we said sudras and ladies, this is not, but for dvijas, for twice born in Varnashram, there's Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas, these male Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas. How many samskaras are they supposed to perform in their life? Please say.
I don't remember. It's a lot, though. I remember that there are a lot more than what we see listed nowadays. I've heard that before.
So normally people say sodasa samskara. There's 16 samskaras. This is normally what people say. They'll say, if you ask anybody in India, they'll probably say, anybody with a little bit of knowledge will say there's 16 sodasa samskaras. Even they can't name all of them, they'll say 16. But today we see how many. Today we see maybe they do the marriage and sometimes Upanayana, the sacred thread, and that's about it. That's practically it. If the family is very orthodox, they might do some other ones. They might do some of the prenatal samskaras like Garbhadana, Pumsavana, Simantanayana. They might do these. Even then, the Simantanayana and the Simantanayana and the Pumsavana. Pumsavana means a prayer for a male child. Simantanayana means parting the Simanta, the hair of the wife during pregnancy. There's also have you seen? I have a nice video which was done by a scholar in Pancharatra Agama is called Dr. H. Daniel Smith of Syracuse University, New York. Have you seen this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
From
Okay. So
1950.
if you haven't seen it, I'll post it again. It's very nice. In the 60s, he did a whole thing on, he filmed some samskaras in Madras in Chennai of some South Indian Sri Vaishnavas doing. Okay. So anyway, getting back to that, how many samskaras there are, here, this is going to blow your mind. There's at least 40 samskaras that the Dvijas are supposed to do in the life.
Wow.
And not all of some of them are also daily. Like Upasana Homa for the Grihastha is twice a day. Morning and evening he has to do the fire ceremony. Just like the brahmacharis also. They're out of the 4 ashramas, brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, sannyasi, at least the 2, brahmachari and grihastha, they have to do agni karya. They have to do the fire ceremonies. Sannyasis are not supposed to do fire ceremonies. Cannot do. Right? Bhagavad Gita says, Sasannyasi cha yogi cha, means sannyasis and yogis. Sasannyasi cha yogi cha, means cha means and. Those sannyasis and yogis. Those who are sannyasis and yogis. Sasannyasi cha yogi cha, naniragniya. Niragniya. Agni means fire. Niragni means no fire. And naniragni na chakriya. Chakriya means they don't do any work also. They're unemployed. They don't have any job, right? Because the yogis have to think about God, they have to meditate, and the sannyasis, they have to prepare themselves for death because they're very old men, old Brahmins, and they have to prepare themselves for the next life, and they completely try to renounce any attachment to the rest of the social system. So for them, no fire. Also, sannyasis, another thing about sannyasi, he cannot do the fire, so he can't do oblations and these things. You might find there's some people who are exceptions to this. There might be some exceptional sannyasis who are doing some sort of fires. When we talk about fire, in this sense, we mean the Shrauta fires. We mean the Vedic fires. So maybe we can say some sannyasi may have something to do with the Pancharatric fire or Agamic fire, Tantric fire, but not the Shrauta fires, okay? As far as, because we have 2 systems here. We have the Varnashram system, which is Brahmanism, right? And we have the Vaishnava system, which is Pancharatra, which is Tantrism. So this is the Nigama, this is the Vedic system, and this is the Tantric system. This is the Vaishnava system, or the Agamic system. 2 systems, okay? And in Vaishnavism, we do a little bit from both. If you read Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, chapter 27, that is the instructions by Lord Krishna on deity worship, on puja. So if you read there, Krishna will say, I'm worshipped by 3 different methods. He says Vedic, can worship me by purely Vedic way. You can worship me purely Tantric way. Tantric means Agamic, Pancharatra Agama. Usually it's Pancharatra Agama. There are other Agamas. There are 2 Vaishnava Agamas, Pancharatra Agama and Vaikanasa Agama. Vaikanasa Agama is an older system. And in order to be a Vaikanasin, to follow Vaikanasa Agama, there are some temples like Tirupati and a few other temples in South India where they still follow the Vaikanasa system. But in order to follow that, you have to be born in the family of the sage Vaikanasa Rishi. Right, to be a pujari. You can't just become a pujari. Whereas you can become an archika or a pujari of a temple in Pancharatra simply by learning Pancharatra and becoming initiated into Pancharatra. You can worship in a Pancharatric way. So much better for Kali Yuga, Pancharatra system. And for other yugas, maybe Vaikanasa system. Still, there's some Vaikanasa, still some Vaikanasins there. But anyhow, so we can spotlight that again. Okay, so the Vaikhanasa system is by birth. You can only be part of that Vaikhanasa Agama. Two agamas for two ways of worshiping Vishnu. So the Vaikhanasa Agama. So actually, interesting thing about the Vaikhanasa Agamas, people will say, well, they're Vaishnavas, they're worshiping Vishnu, right? So they're born in the family of the sage Vaikhanas. So how do they get qualified for doing the worship in the temple? How do they get qualified for doing worship? Because the qualification for a Vaishnava for worship is Vaishnava Diksha. He has to take initiation. This is in all sampradayas, not just Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya. In all sampradayas, you take Vaishnava initiation and you get a mantra from the guru, and then you can use that mantra to perform worship. Otherwise, if you don't know the mantra, you can't do the worship, because you need the mantra to do the worship, right? The mantra will be the Mula mantra. So these Vaikhanasins, they're born to be Archakas. They're born to be Vaikhanasins, to do puja according to Vaikhanasa. So they are called Garbha Vaishnavas. Garbha Vaishnavas. They're already Vaishnavas when they're conceived in the womb, and when they do the different prenatal samskaras, when they come to the Punksavana Simantanayana samskara, right? They have a special payasam. They have a special sweet rice, which they give to the mother of the Vaikhanasins in the Vaikhanasa families. They give a sweet rice, and they infuse that sweet rice with mantras of Sudarshana and Panchajanya. So they chant the mantras for Sudarshana and Panchajanya on the sweet rice and give this, it's prasadam, offered to Vishnu, and then they give it to the mother, and then they consider that the baby has been initiated in the womb. Because the initiation outside, in Pancharatra, the initiation is that there has to be stamped on the body, there has to be the symbols of Vishnu, the chakra and conch, right? Stamped on the shoulders of the person, right? This is called tapta mudras. With hot brands, they stamp the symbols on your shoulders, and this purifies the body. So how does a Vaikhanasa get purified? He doesn't have any external initiation. He has initiation at the time of Punksavana samskara in the mother's womb with this Sudarshana sweet rice.
Wow.
So this is the system for Vaikhanasa Agama. Anyway, Vaikhanasa Agama, we don't have to worry about it too much because we're not part of that family. But just in case you go to one of these temples sometime in India, you can meet some of these people who are descended from the sage Vaikhanasa, and they perform that Vaikhanasa Agama puja. There are a lot more Vedic mantras in the Vaikhanasa Agama system. So anyway, getting back to the systems, Krishna in the Bhagavatam 11th canto, chapter 27, he says there's three ways of worshipping me. Purely Vedic way, Tantric way, or Agamic way, and mixed system which is mixed. There's a little bit of Vedic mantras, there's a little bit of Tantric mantras. So more or less what we're doing is we're worshipping the Lord in a mixed way. We're using some of course, we can do completely Pancharatric. We can do a completely Pancharatric worship of the Lord, and it means no Vedic mantras at all, just only Pancharatric. And the reason why somebody might want to do only Pancharatric and not mixed is because if one wants to follow strictly the certain laws of Varnashram, in Varnashram, the ladies and the non-Brahmins, the non-Vaishyas, the non-Kshatriyas, the non-Dvijas, males, Sudras, Mlechas, different people, they are not supposed to chant or hear the Vedic mantras. So for them, they can use Pancharatric mantras. Everything can be done according to Pancharatra. So this Pancharatra Agama is a system of worship of Vishnu, which is good for Kali Yuga. Because why? Because everybody in Kali Yuga is born a Sudra. Kalo Sudra Sambhavan. Everybody's basically born a Sudra. This is the idea. Even though some people may say, no, I'm in this family or whatever it is like that. But still, the nature of the age is that everybody has got some problems like this. They're born low, or they have a low mentality because of the age. So it's good to have a system that includes everybody. It's good to have a system that includes everybody, and Pancharatra system includes everybody. So in a Pancharatra system, you're able to worship Vishnu, and some people they will chant. Some people they'll do it in a mixed way. So they'll chant some Veda mantras, but there'll be not as many Veda mantras as the Vaikhanasa system. So anyway, getting back to the samskaras are part of Varnashram. They're part of the Brahminical system, the Vedic system. There's Nigama and Agama. Nigama means Veda. Agama means Tantra or non-Veda. So anything which is not the Veda, which is not Shruti. Shruti means that which is heard. Anything which is not Shruti is Shmriti, or is not Veda. Okay, so there are so many things which are not considered Veda. Sometimes we hear people say, okay, that the Mahabharata is considered like the fifth Veda. Okay, that the Gita is considered an Upanishad. But actually, in technical terms, the Gita is part of Mahabharata. Mahabharata is a itihasa, is a history. There are two itihasas, Mahabharata and Ramayana. So these are histories. And the Puranas, Purana just means old tales, old stories. So the Puranas are there. There's also 5 or 10 different qualifications. If a book wants to be a Purana, it has to follow these 5 or 10 different lakshanas. What does lakshana mean? The word lakshana in Sanskrit means qualification or qualities. Lakshana. Okay. So lakshana also means if you have a lakshana, if something has a lakshana, it means it has that qualification, and it means other things do not have that qualification. It's a distinct thing which only that book or only that person or only that thing has, and others don't have, right? So I can't think of an example right now, but in Nyaya Shastra, there's examples of things to explain exactly what the word lakshana means is a whole other discussion. But anyway, so getting back to Pancharatra Agama. Pancharatra Agama is the system that we use for worshiping the Lord. Whereas when we do the samskaras are purely Vedic, usually Vedic, unless somebody is and of course in the Varnashram system for non-Dvijas, there's no samskaras. So those people, they don't have to do. But if they're Vaishnavas, maybe they want to worship the Lord, and maybe they're not Dvijas, maybe they're not twice born, maybe they're not Brahmins, Kshatriyas, or Vaishyas, maybe they don't wear the sacred thread or follow those traditions. So for them, we can help them worship the Lord at different times in the life for samskaras to purify their lives in a purely agamic way, in a purely tantric way, and there's no need for any Veda mantras for them like that. Of course, nowadays we don't, as if we're doing priestly duties and we're catering to a congregation, we have to we don't ask so many questions of the sponsors, the people who come and they want some ceremony performed, and we don't say, well, are you qualified for this ceremony? Right? If everybody who came to me and said, no, Swami, can you do my marriage? I want to marry my girlfriend, or I want to marry my boyfriend. Can you do that? Or I want to get my daughter or my son married. Can you do that? Like that. I don't go and I say, look, here's a checklist of things. If nobody qualifies, then I can't do it.
Yeah, nobody. That would be awkward.
Well, some people do it. Some people do it. They say they won't do it. I mean, like in other religions also, you cannot, in Catholic religion, in the Roman Catholic religion, you cannot be married in a church unless you are both Catholic and then you're both accepted in the church. You've gone through the samskaras of the church and you are taking communion and doing all these things. So like sometimes people will be excommunicated from the Catholic Church, or they get divorced, which is against the rule of the Catholic Church, and then they say, okay, you cannot, no longer can you be married, or you can't take the sacraments in the church. They'll say like that. So, I mean, similar rules are there in Vaishnavism and Hinduism, that people can become excluded from certain religious functions because of not following certain things or breaking some rules or something like that. It's possible. So there are many rules. Okay, so yeah, you can if you want to ask a question, you can just say so, Vishma. So tantric lineage uses Vedic mantras. A mixed, if you're doing things in a mixed way, knowledge. How about pure Vedic lineage? They don't use any tantra at all. Where they get the measures of a kind of X or naysay, or isn't that tantric? I'm not quite sure what you mean.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's some mistake in the typing. I was telling that where they get the measures of the kunda, for example, or the nyasas, things like that. How do they get it? It's in the Veda as well, or they get it from some tantras?
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Everything.
There's a thing called. Okay, so there's Shrauta Sutra. The Shrauta Sutra. There's Griha Sutra, and there's Shulba Sutra. There's a thing called Shulba Sutra. Shulba Sutra gives all the measurements of the bricks, the numbers of the bricks, how to place the bricks, how to make the 1982 Bhaktividyapurna, then Anadesha Das Brahmachari, and myself, we made a Homakunda in Mayapur for for Gaur Purnima in the shape of an eagle. In the shape of an eagle. Okay, this is called a shena. Shena means eagle in Sanskrit. So in Vedic system, they make sometimes they make a fire ceremony, and they have a Shrauta fire ceremony in the shape of an eagle. So there's a book called Shulba Sutra which explains how because you have to make the bricks for this Shrauta. Everything in Shrauta, you have to make everything. You have to make the spoons for the sacrifice. You have to make you have to make the yagshala. You have to make the pit, and all the measurements are there according to the priest's hands and limbs, and they make all these things. And at the end, after it's all finished, it's all get burned up. It all gets burned up. It's only one use. So yeah, so sometimes they still do these ceremonies today. Very rarely, because it costs a lot of money to do these things, but sometimes they even do it today. They do some Soma Yaga, right? Agnistoma, like the Agnistoma is the paradigm for Soma Yaga. Soma Yaga is worship of Lord Vishnu by offering Lord Vishnu a sattvic intoxicant called Soma. Soma, they get a special herb, a special plant, and they get the plant and they crush the plant, and they get some juice from crushing the plant. So with this vegetable juice, they put that juice into some dough, and they make some dough, and they ferment the juice. Then they take the dough and they squeeze the dough also, and they get the fermented juice. And that fermented juice is offered. So there's a whole system of how to go get the plant, how to crush the plant, how to make the juice. And then they take the juice and offer the juice into the fire to Vishnu, the Soma Ras, Soma juice. And then at the end of so many days, the Brahmins at the fire, who are the archakas, paricharakas, the assistants, and everything, because there are different priests. I think I mentioned before, there are 4 main priests in a Vedic sacrifice, and then 16 other priests who are the four helpers of each one of those priests. So all these priests, they get, and the Yajamana, of course, the sponsor, maybe his wife also, I don't know. Anyway, everybody gets to taste 1 drop of Soma at the end as prasadam. So that is a sattvic intoxicant called somaras. So you take one drop, and after taking one drop, then because you took an intoxicant, then you have to shave your head and take bath with your all your clothes on and do some prayaschitta, because even it's a sattvic intoxicant, it's okay. It's considered okay to take for Brahmins, but still you have to do some prayaschitta to atone for the fact that you took this sattvic intoxicant. So this is a soma thing. So it's called Agnistoma. So Adhiratra, there are several different. Do you want to know the names of all the 40 samskaras and some more about it or not? Because I just have to grab the book from the shelf. That's all.
Sure.
Okay, hang on one moment. Okay, so there are several standard books. I suggest also, I think you can get this book. Oops, somebody else. Here we go. So I think this book is very readily available. I'll try and find a link to this book. I think I found it before and posted it to the group. Whoops. Hindu Samskaras by Pandey. This is a good book. It describes about the different samskaras. And he has different lists of samskaras. So so according to different Griha Sutras, the samskaras will be described mostly in the Griha Sutras. Okay, here we get Devarishi. Okay.
I'm gonna say, are you ready? They're going to do Arti now, so 7:40.
Okay. Somebody, I'm gonna mute.
Are you ready?
I'm gonna mute you, everybody. Okay. So I muted all of you because I think somebody was saying something. If you need to be unmuted, you can unmute yourself or you can type something in the chat. All right. So in Hindu Samskaras by Pandey, he describes different samskaras. And according to different Griha Sutras, there are different numbers of samskaras. So here, he gives a list from Ashvalayana. Ashvalayana is a Rigveda Griha Sutra, so Rigvedic Brahmins. Paraskara also, I believe, I'm not sure if Paraskara may be Sukla Yajurveda. And Bodhayana is Krishna Yajurveda. Bodhayana, of course, Apastamba is just like Bodhayana. Pretty much whenever you hear Apastamba is a subset of Bodhayana. So here he's got, he has from under Ashvalayana, he's got 11 plus 13, 24. Under Paraskara, just 13. Under Bodhayana, he gives 13. Under Vaikhanasa, the Vaikhanasas have their own system. They have 18. And then we have some other ones. Then he explains, these are the mentioned in the Griha Sutras. In the Shrauta Sutras, for those of you just who are just joining us, we're speaking about samskaras. We began by speaking about anaprasana samskara because Raghunath did an anaprasana samskara yesterday in Alachua. And we started to talk about the difference between Vedic and Agamic, or Vaishnava, Vedic and Brahminical and Vaishnava system ceremonies. And we started talking about samskaras. So I explained that there are basically 40 samskaras. So you've got here on page 20 of Pandey's book on samskaras, he explains the samskaras. So we'll go through them. Now, if you're familiar with some samskaras from Satkriya Sardipika, in Satkriya Sardipika, the author of Satkriya Sardipika, he says, he starts with Vivaha as the first samskar. And the reason for this is because he believes that Vivaha, or the marriage, must come before the Garbhadana Samskar. The Garbhadana Samskar means the process of impregnation. So, but normally most of the general writers on samskaras, and there are many of them, they normally start with Garbhadana Samskar. because they are going to go beyond marriage and they're going to go to some other things. Whereas in the Satkriya Sardipika, he doesn't really go beyond marriage in the life of the person. He has a separate book at the end of Satkriya Sardipika called Samskara Dipika, in which he deals with renunciation or taking of Vaishnava sannyas or Babaji or something like this. So he keeps it a separate thing and just goes basically up until marriage. He goes from, he starts with marriage and then he goes up until Samavartana. Samavartana means when graduation from Gurukula. And after that, nothing. But of course, we know that after you graduate from Gurukula, you're going to get married and you're going to do so many other things. So here, the normal system is they start with Garbhadhana. So Garbhadhan is the first samskara. Second one, Pungsavana. Pungsavana, as I said. So first one, Garbhadhan impregnation. Pungsavana. Now, interesting with Garbhadhan, I was at some seminars in India where they have a conference of Sanskrit scholars and they all discuss about these things. So there is a big argument between scholars and different pundits about whether Garbhadhan is a Kshetra samskara or a Garbha samskara. So is the purpose of Garbhadhana to purify the Garbha or the fetus, the unborn child, or is the purpose of Garbhadhana to purify the lady? So this is the question, because the Kshetra, as we know from Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says in 13th chapter, or Arjuna says actually in his question, Kshetra, Kshetra, Gya. What is the Kshetra and what is the Kshetra, Gya? Kshetra means, in this sense, the word Kshetra means field, right? Dharma Kshetra, Kuru Kshetra, right? In the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, what did the Pandavas do? And my sons in the field of Kurukshetra. So Kshetra means field, but Kshetra also, in an analogy, it means the body. So Kshetra and Kshetragya, the knowledge of the body. So Kshetra, is it a Kshetra samskara? Is it a samskara or a purificatory rite of the body, meaning of the lady, right? Or is it a purification of the child? The child was being conceived. So normally, of course, we've heard from Prabhupada and different people that it should be a purification of the child, the unborn child. But there are some scholars who say it is a purification of the woman, in which case sometimes it is done only one time. Sometimes only the first time after the marriage, the first attempt at impregnation, they perform Garbhadhana samskara and they don't do it any other time. So that's also a system in India, right? That's also called nishek in Sanskrit. So they'll do only that ceremony, only the one time after the marriage, and that's it. They don't do it again. They consider, okay, the wife has become pure because they've done this ceremony of Garbhadhana. But the ceremony itself, the name of the ceremony itself, Garbhadhan, giving of the fetus, right? Garbha means womb or fetus. Anyway, whatever you think it means, it's giving. Okay, so anyway, that's the first one, Garbhadhan. Pungsavana means the prayer for male child, like that. Maybe somebody's not praying for a male child, but in the vivaha ceremony, normally there is a prayer. Let my wife have 10 sons, right? Let there be 11 men in the house, right? One father and 10 sons. This is the prayer in the Vedic marriage ceremony. So of course it was mostly, except in Kerala and Nepal and a few places, it was a patriarchal society, and men were more important. There's some reasons why in Kerala and Nepal, the women, they had a matriarchal society, but normally they had a patriarchal society where the men were in charge, more or less, and different things like succession and inheritance was done through male lineage. And there's some reasons for female lineages and things like that in Nepal and in Kerala. We won't get into it, but anyhow, so the idea was people would pray for sons because the sons would grow up and they would be big and strong and they would help us in our family. The girls are also important. They grow up, but when they grow up, they go to another family. They get married and they go to another family. So really, if you have a daughter, it's not helping your family so much. It's helping somebody else's family, because she grows up and she goes and she marries a husband and she goes off to the other family. This is in the system in India, ancient system of joint families. So she's going to go off to another family. So she's going to help the other family. So the selfish person, he's praying only for sons because he wants to help his family, right? So anyway, the Pungsavana is a prayer for, at a certain point in the pregnancy of the wife, it's a prayer for male child. Okay. Simantanayana is the parting of the hair. Simanta means a part in the hair. The ladies tie their hair in a certain way, and they have a part in the middle. And there are certain things which they use, porcupine quill or an arrow, different things they use to part the hair according to the different caste of the husband. And also at the same time, there's some in the Pungsavana. I'm sorry, in the Pungsavana also. Sometimes, mostly they do this together with the Pungsavana nowadays. And when they do the Pungsavana, they also take some fig fruits and they squeeze the juice of the fig into the nose, into the nostril of the wife. And this is supposed to have some influence on the sex of the child and make the child a male or something like that. You know, there's a whole, if we want to go into it, there's different stages of development of the fetus. And some things are spoken about. I think Prabhupada used to speak about the difference of this, whether the seed of the father or the mother is more, makes the difference of whether it's a male or a female child. And then also the people who write about samskaras, they write about conception happening on an odd or even day as counted from the end of the menstrual period of the wife, influencing the sex of the child. These are all details, and they're all there. And some people, they follow very strictly these sort of things. And if we go back to the Veda, we have Garbha Upanishad. There's an Upanishad which speaks about the living entity entering into the body of the fetus, like that. And I believe in the Garbha Upanishad it says only the jiva only enters on the 7th month. Before the 7th month, the jiva doesn't enter. So it's very interesting if you want to read Garbha Upanishad. So anyhow, we're getting a little bit sidetracked here. So then we have the Simantanayana, and then Jata Karma. So then there's the birth ceremony. At the ceremony of birth, the samskara, the child is given some honey or some ghee with a gold spoon or a gold ring or something. They give a little bit of ghee on the tongue of the child. And this is supposed to to promote intelligence for the child, like that, right? And this is supposed to be done before the cutting of the umbilical cord. It's supposed to be done before the cutting of the umbilical cord. But obviously these days, when children are not being born at home, and these things are not being followed, then maybe it is done at a different time afterwards. So in the ancient times, the ladies would go, and the pregnant lady would be in a place called a Suchika Griha, which is a small hut in the backyard of the house. So she would be separate. And this is a place where the ladies go in the family to give birth, or when they're in some contaminated situation during their menses, or they might camp out on the front porch, for a few days during the menses. But anyhow, giving birth in this Suchika Griha, and then they have to stay in the Suchika Griha for the confinement period, which I think is about 10 days, just like for birth and death. There are these 10-day intervals of asaucha, or what we call titu, in Tamil. where the person is considered to be somewhat contaminated, and they stay in that place. And then the mother and child come out from the Suchika Griha at a certain point, like that. So sometimes today, instead of doing the Jata Karma, the birth ceremony at the time of birth, they'll wait until afterwards, sometime afterwards, when everything is calmed down, everything is in. So that is the Jata Karma. And after the Jata Karma, then we have Namakarna. Namakarna is the giving of the name. And I think I posted some chakra, something which explains about how to make the different names. It's very interesting. Also, if you read this book, on Pandey's book on samskaras, he explains about the different number of names. There's some different names that are given to the children according to astrological things. So then anaprasana is what we were talking about before, the first feeding of solid food. Chola means the cutting of the hair or shaving of the head. In the anaprasana, by the way, there's some different customs, like in the Gaudiya Vaishnava's customs or the Bengali custom, maybe they're also offering for the children to be able to choose between money and the scripture, or to choose between several items that might indicate the caste of the child. Maybe put a, I don't know in America whether they put a gun out there and see if they go for the gun, or at least they might put some bow and arrow or something in the Vedic times, whatever it is. So they want to get some indication of the nature of the child at that time. So wherever the child crawls towards the scripture or the money or the weapon or whatever it is, they get an indication of what the caste of the child might be. Of course, normally people don't do this, but sometimes there's some customs like that. And then chola, the cutting of the hair, which happens at different times. It can happen at different times. The first cutting of the hair or shaving of the head, like that, for boys and girls. And they say that if they do that for the girls also, it helps the hair grow stronger. I don't know if that's true or not, but people say that. Also at that time, or even before that time, even the boys and the girls, there might be this karna beta. Karna beta means piercing of the ears, which helps with certain things, helps to balance the doses in Ayurveda, apparently. Not just the ears, but sometimes also the nose. The ladies are doing that. Then after that, Upanayana. Upanayana means, Nayana means to come, Upa means close. So when the boy grows up, if we're talking only about mostly about twice born children or boys specifically. So when the boy grows up, he has to go to the Gurukula. When he goes to the Gurukula, Guru means teacher and Kula means family. So sometimes we heard Prabhupada say Guru means teacher, Kula means place. So it's the place of the Guru. So yeah, Kula can mean place, but it also specifically means family. So in those days, the Guru was a grihasta, and he had a wife, and maybe he had some children also, and he would run a small boarding school in his house. And children would go to the Guru and they would learn the Vedas for so many years. They would learn Sanskrit and they would learn different things. And they would learn the Vedas. And then at a certain point, they would leave the Guru and they would graduate from that. And they would go and become grihastas themselves. So that Gurukula, going to the Gurukula the first time, before that, he has to have the Upanayanam. He has to be invested with the sacred thread and given the Gayatri mantra, which is the essence of the Vedas, so that he can chant the Vedas and learn the Vedas, chant and hear the Vedas. So after Upanayanam, so we now have 8. Okay, so we have Garbhadana, Pungsavana, Simantanayana, Jatakarma, Namakarna, Anaprasana, Chola, and 8th one is Upanayana. So then after the 8th one, 9 to 12 means 9, 10, 11, 12. These 4 after Upanayana are called Chatvari Veda Vratani. So Vratani means the vows, right? Chatvari Veda means of the 4 Vedas. So it used to be that people would learn all 4 Vedas. Go ahead.
Swamiji, can I something?
Sure.
About Upanayanam is usually done at the 8th year of the child, right? It's around
8th year, yeah, 8th year. But remember, in Asia, they count the year. They count the time that from conception. They count the time from conception, whereas in the West we count the time from the birth, right?
Sure.
Now, if you're an astrologer, you should listen to this. Okay, there's different times for birth. Some people say it is bhusparsha. Bhusparsha means when the baby drops on the ground. Okay, nobody's going to drop their baby when the baby gives birth, okay? But what happens is, it used to be that the ladies would maybe even give birth, some ladies, maybe they're even giving birth in the fields, or they may be even giving birth in some Shutika Griha in the house or like that, with only midwives there, no doctors, right? Maybe no male members around at all. And sometimes they squat and give birth to the baby. And the idea is that when the baby touches the ground, okay? Now the baby we don't actually drop the baby out of the mother on the ground, okay? But the astrologers want to know that time when the baby touches the ground first. That's one time. Another time is when the head is completely out of the mother. That's another time. Another time is when the baby takes the first breath. These are all different times, and different astrologers, they will take different times. So I'm not an astrologer, but you can talk to a Vedic astrologer. I know little, okay? So you can talk to an astrologer about all these things. If they know, if he's a really good astrologer, he probably knows the different times after birth. So birth, yeah, is an important time. So from the birth, also the taking these times into consideration, right? People will cast a chart in astrology. They will know, they will cast the Rasi chart of the individual according to the time of birth, and even a few minutes difference, right, can make a big difference, right? Because 4 minutes of time can be one degree of arc in a thing. So imagine if you're rising, if your lagna is right on the cusp of a house, 4 minutes could be the difference between you're in one house or another house. So anyway, astrologers take all these things into consideration. Okay. Also, later on, if you have there's a thing called lost horoscopy, that if you don't know when your date of birth is, or you don't know the time of day you were born, like your mother tells you, yeah, you were born on this day, but we don't know the exact time, an expert astrologer can also find out the time, or he can guess the time by looking at different periods of your life and seeing how they relate. And this is because every 4 minutes things change. Every few minutes things change, and it would make a different horoscope or different future for you. So they can work backwards also and find out when you were born exactly. So similarly, from when you were born, you can look backwards and you can see when you were conceived. So in India, what they do is they take life from the conception, and therefore they say, from conception we take 8 years for the Upanayanam. So in the 8th year, yeah. So there are upper limits also in the Shmriti Shastras. There are upper limits. So the first time the boy can get the Upanayanam, depending on his caste, is a certain time, and the last time for different castes is another set of years. So after 24 years of age, you can't take Upanayanam again. Right?
I was wondering, what's your opinion? Actually, for me as a father, I have one son to have 8 years old now, So I was wondering to do him Upanayanam or not. So what's your opinion? As you said, it has to be a lot with the Gurukula and going to the place of the Guru, which will not happen here. So what's your opinion about the if does it have some meaning for us to do that ceremony?
Yes, it's a very good question. It's a very good question. Okay, so in the Veda, it says, Matri Devo Bhava, Pitri Devo Bhava, Atiti Devo Bhava, Acharya Devo Bhava, in this order, right? Mother is God, meaning mother is your first guru also, right? Your first teacher is your mother. Yeah, she's looking after you. She's teaching you. She's everything for you. So we treat mother as God. Why? Because mother is the first guru, and the guru is treated like God, right? Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Shakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. We heard this being chanted by people who are not Vaishnavas, but actually that mantra is there in Hari Bhakti Vilas. That is in Hari Bhakti Vilas. And that's also not only in Hari Bhakti Vilas, but for any Sri Vaishnavas who are watching this, that mantra is also a little bit changed in Sharanagati Gadya of Ramanuja. Okay? So all the teachers were considered to be like God. Okay, so mother's the first teacher, right? Matri Devo Bhava. Then the Veda says next, Pitri Devo Bhava. The father is also a teacher. Guru is God. He's God. So like Guru. So the father is also a teacher. He's also the teacher of the children. Before the children go off to Gurukula, if they at all go to Gurukula, and if the father is a guru himself, if the father's a teacher himself, if the father's a Brahmin himself or a Vaishnava, he's definitely going to teach his children. Right? It's not that you as a father, as a parent, right? What does the Bhagavatam say? Guru na sasyat, swajino na sasyat, pita na sasyat. Yeah? So it says, guru, you can't be a guru and you can't be a father. It's the same qualification as being a guru, being a father. You are a guru to your children, right? The Bhagavatam says, unless you are willing to take responsibility and take your children, point them on the path to going back to Godhead, to going to liberation, going back to God, serving Narayana, serving Lord Krishna. Unless you are willing to point them in that direction, you shouldn't become a father. You shouldn't become a king. You shouldn't become a guru. So father is also a guru. Mother is also a guru. These are the first gurus. And the Veda gives mother first. When it's a line. Matri Devo Bhava, Pitri Devo Bhava, Atiti Devo Bhava, Acharya Devo Bhava. The Acharya comes last in the Veda. The mother first, then father, then third one is Atiti. Atiti means what? It means a guest. We treat the guest like God. The guest, not the guest who we call up and we said, come over. The guest who just shows up, unannounced. So TT means a date. So when a guest makes a date and comes over, right? So a lot of you know these things, but I'm just saying it anyway for anybody watching the video. A TT means a day. So if you call somebody up and say, come on Friday, that's not a TT. That means you asked him to come at a certain day. But if somebody shows up unannounced, he didn't text, he didn't call, right? He didn't hit you, he didn't push you on Facebook or Instagram. He just showed up. That is a TT. That is a TT. That person is considered to be, he has to be worshipped like God. Okay? So then last is Acharya Devo Bhava. The Acharya is God, right? So anyway, my point is, your question is the father and the mother, they're responsible for the children. So therefore, yeah, you should give Upanayanam to your son. Why not? Upanayanam, you have to bring him close to God. You have to bring him close to you as a guru. You are like a god to him. Mother is also like a goddess to him, right? And also like a guru. You're both like gurus to him. So you have to bring him close. Upanayana means you're bringing him close and you're giving him something which is going to help him. So we're always giving our children stuff which is good for them. Even if they don't think it's good for them, we give it to them anyway. They'll appreciate it later. Okay, so Upanayam, yeah, you can give Upanayam to your son. There are many people, many times I met many devotees and even congregational members, non-congregational members, devotees, they all say to me, should we, my son is getting older, should he not know, should he not have Gayatri Mantra or something? Yeah, so the thing is, in ISKCON and Gaudiya Math and things, what they have done is they've taken the Vedic, Brahminical system of Upanayanam and the Tantric or Agamic Pancharatric system of Vaishnava initiation, and they sort of merged them together. So the second initiation in ISKCON or in the Gaudiya Math is the one where you're getting all these mantras, but the first mantra you get is the Gayatri Mantra, and the other mantras are all Vaishnava mantras. No, it's not that the Gayatri Mantra cannot be a Vaishnava mantra. It can also be understood as a Vaishnava mantra. How do we know? That Gayatri Mantra, the first Gayatri Mantra, is called Savitri Gayatri, or it's also called Brahma Gayatri. Brahma means Brahman, doesn't mean Chandramukha Brahma. It doesn't mean the four-headed Brahma. It means Brahman, the greatest, right? So Brahma Gayatri means the Gayatri for the Supreme Lord. And Savitri Gayatri means for Savitar. Savitar means the sun god. So, okay, are we confused about this? Is the sun god the Supreme Lord? No, we should not be confused. The sun god, the sun is Pratyaksha Devata. Who knows what that means? Pratyaksha means, Pratyaksha, Anumana, and Sabda, these are different methods of proof. Pratyaksha means direct perception. The god or Devata that you can see. Without going to the temple, just look up in the sky, there's a god there. That is the sun. He's called Pratyaksha Devata. And what is he described? Deya Sada Saviti Mandala Madhyavarti Narayana Sarasija Sanasani Vistaha Keyuravan Makarakundalavan Kiriti Hari Hiranmaya Vapahu Rita Shanka Chakraha. He has the Shanka Chakra. Narayana, Surya Narayana, within the sun globe is God. So that mantra, Gayatri Mantra, Savitri, is for Surya Narayana. So it's a Vaishnava mantra, even though it comes from the Veda, right? So don't let anybody tell you that this is not a Vaishnava mantra. It's a Vaishnava mantra to Surya Narayana. And we can certainly give it to our children. If we get it, if we have got it, then we can give it. We give it to our children because why? We are qualified. Guruna Sasat Swajinona Sasyat. We're, as parents, we are also taking that responsibility. We're also taking that responsibility. We have to. So, yeah, Upanayam, go ahead, do it. No problem. And you also teach along with Savitri Gayatri. You have to tell them, yes, this is Narayana within the sun that you're meditating upon. And what is the purpose of Gayatri? What is the purpose of chanting Gayatri? Dhyoyo na prachodayat, right? That I meditate upon the Supreme Lord within the sun, who enthuses my meditation. In other words, what is it? It is consciousness. We want to be conscious. We want to think about everything consciously. We don't want to do anything unconsciously. What we eat, what we do, what we say, what we think, everything should be done on a conscious level. Right? We should not say something without thinking. We should not do something without thinking. We should not preach something without thinking. Everything should be conscious. We should be conscious of all these things. So in order to be conscious, we have to meditate upon what we do and be conscious, right? The Buddhists are very good at this, right? Buddhism is Hinduism for export. It's export quality Hinduism, right? People appreciate Buddhism more than Hinduism many times because they concentrate on these sort of things, right? The Hindus are all this story, that story, but they sometimes don't concentrate on the things like suffering and thinking very deeply, meditation about these things. Okay, so anyway, we want to make people, we want to get, what is the point? The point is that when the boys, even the girls, when the girls and boys, when they become older, when they become more mature, they begin to think more in adult ways, right? When they're little children, they're more like animals. They don't think like that. But when they become at the Upanayana, they become able to think about more abstract things, and they become more conscious of what they do. They learn how to act in a proper way. Little kids, they just cry if they don't get the food, or they throw tantrums, they do whatever they want. They're acting more like animals. It's all instinct for them. But once they get a bit mature, then they begin to think, yes, I should speak properly to my father. I should not, challenge what he said. Yes, maybe he knows more than me, etc. All these sort of things. When they become more mature, and that's why we give the Gayatri Mantra, because the Gayatri Mantra tells you to think. It tells you to think before you do. And that's why Sudras don't get Gayatri Mantra, because Sudras don't know what to do and they don't know what not to do. And they don't think about it. All they do is they just listen to the commands of the higher classes, and they follow what they're told. But they don't think. They don't have to think. They don't have to say, is this right or is this wrong? But the Dvijas have to think. We have to think, is this correct? Is this not correct? So that's why Gayatri Mantra is important. And along with Gayatri Mantra, of course, what's the point of just doing Upanayana and giving Gayatri and saying, okay, finished? Every day, 3 times a day, Sandhya Vandanam, you do Sandhya Vandanam. That reminds you, right? The most basic part of Sandhya Vandanam is offering the arghya to the sun with the Gayatri Mantra and chanting the Gayatri Japa, which is meditating and thinking these things. So these are the 2 central parts of Sandhya Vandanam. And there's some other parts to it as well. And we teach this to the people, and it regulates people's lives also. Helps them to regulate their lives. Kids are not regulated, right? You have to tell kids, every day when you get up, you should make your bed, and then you should clean your room, and you have to go, you have to go to school at a certain time, and you have to have sports practice at another time, and you have to do this, and you must do your homework and like that. Otherwise, you have to go to bed without food. Right? You have to say something like this. So you regulate the children. So this also, Sandhya Vandanam, helps to regulate people's lives. And normally, of course, the ladies, they don't do it. They have some other system. And Upanayanam for a lady is considered, in the Vedic system, is considered to be the marriage ceremony. And the Mangal Sutra, which she gets, is equal to the Upavitam, the Brahma sacred thread. Punal, they say in Tamil. But if we look in iconography, if we look in Shastra, we see there are certain goddesses. There are certain goddesses, and there are even depictions of different queens and different ladies in history, pictures and deities and statues. And we see they did wear the Upanayanam, actually. So in the ancient times, it was possible. And we have examples in the Veda also of ladies who were Brahma Rishis, Gargi, and there were of different Upanishads. There are Rishis of different mantras, which are Rishikas. Rishikas means female Rishis. So that's also possible nowadays in modern, since medieval times. I guess Hinduism has not had mostly female rishis, but mostly the ladies are going with the husbands to Vanaprastha, to the forest, and accompanying their husbands. But there have been examples also of female rishis as well. So I don't want to get into a whole sexist thing here, but if you have a son, sure, why not offer Upanayanam and teach him. If there's no Gurukula, that means you're the guru. You're the Gurukula. You are the Gurukula. So you have to do like that. Kula means family. Kula means family. The primary meaning of the word kula is family. So the children in a Gurukula, they grow up in a family atmosphere. Right? The original system was the the guru had his family, and he had his wife, and he had some children. He had other children come, and they all lived together in the guru's house. And it was a family atmosphere of learning. It wasn't a boarding school. Okay, it wasn't just a boarding school. You know, like we get this idea of boarding school is not very nice. Send the kid to a boarding school, you know, a military academy or something. You know, no. Kula means family. It was a very nice atmosphere. And the wife of the guru used to care for the Gurukul students, the brahmacharis, just like they're her own children. So very nice. But in those days, of course, the guru was a grihasta. Nowadays, we have, in all different sampradayas, we have also a system where the guru can be a grihasta, he can also be a sannyasi. So it's possible. So, okay. So, yeah. Anyway, so about Upanayanam, that's there. So then, if you want to read more, I'll make a link for this book so you can see some more about that. Okay, so for Samskaras 9 to 12 are the 4 Vedas: Rig, Yajus, Sama, and Atharva Vedas. The vrats for learning those Vedas. Then there is Sahadharma Charni Samyoga. I guess this means like the Samavartana, when you, after you finish learning the Vedas, then you leave the Gurukula, you graduate from the Gurukula, and you become a Shnataka. You take a bath, and that means like a bachelor, basically you're before marriage. And that is the Vivaha also, comes there. Sadharma Charini means, Sahadharma Charini means the wife, who is going to do Dharma along with you, which you need. You need a wife to do the Dharmas, the Griha Dharmas, like that. You can't do without her. The morning and evening, so when you're a brahmachari in the Gurukula, you're supposed to be offering fire ceremony in the morning and the evening. That's called Samhita Danam. Samhita means firewood, and Danam means offering. So you're offering firewood every morning to keep the fire in the Guru's Gurukula going. So keep it going in the morning, keep it going in the evening. There are certain, it's very short ceremony, and you also pray for to Goddess Saraswati to get knowledge. Mahimedam, Mahiprajam, you know, there's some mantras to chant, and you take the basma, the ash from that fire, and you touch it to different parts of your body, and you pray to Mahimedam, Mahiprajam, and you pray for knowledge in the school. Then when you get married, after the Vivaha Samskar, which is a very long Samskar, probably the longest one, in many, many parts, need a whole other discussion about Vivaha, what it consists of. Then after that, then you have to perform the Griha Dharmas with your wife. And so there are Pancha Mahayagyas, there are 5 sacrifices that you have to do every day, as well as one of them is the Upasana Homa, which you do morning and evening with the wife. And the wife has to be there, and she has to give permission for you to do it. So in the Upasana Homa Prayoga, in the morning and the evening, the Grihasta gets everything ready, and then he asks the wife, can I do this? And she says, Yehudi, you do it. And if she's not there, he can't do it. If she goes for a trip or something, he can't do it. But if he goes for 1 or 2 or 3 days, she can do it without him. But he can't do it by himself. So there's so many rules and things for this Upasana Homa. And the Upasana Homa is done with the fire from the Vivaha. So the marriage ceremony, they make a marriage fire, and they keep the fire in a bowl of cow dung. They keep a glowing bowl of cow dung covered with ash in a pot, in a clay pot, and they take it to the house. And then morning and evening, he has to worship that fire for the rest of his life. And then when the person dies, that person will be cremated in that same fire. Okay. So they do the Pancha Mahayagyas. One of them is the Vaishvadeva. Before he eats, he has to offer all the prasadam to Lord Narayana, of course, if he's a Vaishnava. But he also has to offer to many different devatas some prasadam. And then there are some other, so that's 19. 14 was the Vivaha, and 15 to 19 were the Pancha Mahayagyas, which we need to go into detail later. Then there are some other. There are 3 classes of Shrauta ceremonies, right? So I'll just go through them. 20 to 26 are Astaka, Pavana, Shraddha, Sravani, Agrayani, Chaitre, Aishwaji iti, Sapta Paka Yagya Samskar. So there's seven what they call Paka Yagyas. These are Shrauta sacrifices. These are all samskars. So samskars 20 to 26. 27 to 33 are called the 7 Havir Yagyas. Agnadeyam, Agnihotram, Dasa Punamasyasya, Chatumasya, Agrai. Chatumasya doesn't mean the Chatumasya vow of the sannyasis. It's a Vedic sacrifice called Chatumasya. Agraya Neshti, Niruda Pasubanda, Shrautamani. These are the 7 Havir Yagyas, Shrauta Havir Yagyas. And then, so that's 27 to 33. And 34 to 40 in the names of the 40 samskars that one has to do in his life are Agnistoma. Remember I was talking about Soma sacrifices. This is the Soma. These are the Soma Yagyas. There are 7 Soma sacrifices in order of getting more and more difficult and bigger Soma sacrifices. The paradigm for them is the Agnistoma, which is the smallest one. Agnistoma, Atyagnistoma, which means a big Agnistoma, right? Ukta, Sodasi, Vajapaya, which somebody did in the last 20 to 30 years in Kerala, right? And then Atiratra, which somebody also did recently, right? And Aptoryama, which I don't believe I've heard of anybody actually doing recently. And these are the 7 Soma Yagas. And then if somebody has done these sacrifices, then they give him the name, a Soma Yagi. He gets the name Soma Yagi. Just like there was a Prime Minister of India recently, his last name was Vajapayee. Vajapayee. So there's one of these Soma sacrifices called Vajapaya. So a person who has performed a Vajapaya sacrifice, Soma sacrifice, is called Vajapayee. Vajapayee. So, and then if you perform a lot of these sacrifices, nobody can even perform one. But if you perform a lot of these, you can be promoted to become Indra, maybe in your next life, right? There's, isn't it 100? If you do 100 Soma sacrifices, you can become Indra in your next life. Okay, if that's what you want. So anyway, these are the 40 samskars. I will post a link to the book. It's a very good reference book about samskaras by Pandey, right? And he also writes specifically about Shraddha and also about, he's got 2 other books about Shraddha and also about Upanayana and Vivaha also, the 3 other books, which are about the major ones. And if anybody wants to know more details, there's a set of books called Understanding Veda Karmakanda, because that's what we're talking about here, Karmakanda. There are different parts of the Veda. There's Karmakanda, Jnanakanda, Upasana Kanda, right? So usually people just say Karmakanda, Jnanakanda. Jnanakanda meaning the Upanishads, and Karmakanda meaning the rest of the Vedas, which deals with the different samskaras and sacrifices, both Griha and Shrauta. Then we have Upasana Kanda means, once you understand who is worthy of being worshipped, Sriman Narayana, or what is the goal, moksha, then how to do that is described in the Upanishads. There are 32 methods or Upanishadic vidyas, 32 ways given in the Upanishads to realize the Supreme. And some of them are also, then you understand how to actually worship the Supreme. And then from that, the Vaisnava system all comes from one or other or more than one of these 32 Upanishadic vidyas. So there's a definitely a link between the Vedic and the Pancharatric, or the Vedic and the Vaishnava, but it's not perhaps exactly the link which we think it is. And so there are some things which are purely Vedic, some things which are purely Pancharatric or purely Tantric. So I think we covered everything about, in general, about samskaras here. In particular, if people want to know about different samskaras, we can go into that some other time. Maybe it's getting a little bit late now. But if anybody has any questions about samskaras in general, please ask. Or comments. Or something I said wrong. Okay. So, should we end today?
I had a quick question.
Sure.
Is there some way to do these samskaras according to Pancharatra Agama?
That's a good question. Normally these Vedic samskaras are done according to different sutras, and the sutras are according to different Vedas. So, like I said, so like you have Rig Veda. If you're a Rig Vedi, you know, you might follow Ashvalayana branch of the Rig Veda, and therefore you do your samskaras according to that, your Vedic samskaras. And so if you're Krishna Yajurveda, for instance, they have Bodhayana Shaka and they have Apastamba. Bodhayana Sutra, Bodhayana Sutra and Apastamba Sutra. And these are two slightly different ways of doing the same samskaras. So you're asking whether there's a Pancharatric way to do the samskaras. There is some mention of some samskaras in Pancharatra. But normally the Pancharatrins, they're normally twice born people anyway, so they're performing according to whatever Veda they belong to. So for instance, in Sri Rangam, you have people who are Rig Vedis, you have people who are Samavedis, you have people who are Yajurvedis. So the Yajurvedis will be doing their samskaras normally according to Bodhayana or Apastamba Sutra. The Samavedis will be doing it according to their sutra. The Rig Vedis according to their sutra, maybe Ashvalayana. And even though they're Pancharatrins, they probably won't have a specific way. So, but Vaikanasins and Pancharatrins do have. There is mention in some of the Samhitas of the Pancharatra Agama and Vaikanasa Agama. There's mentions of ways to do samskaras in a Pancharatric way. We have some of that translated. We have some of that, so I can post that if you're interested in how Pancharatric samskaras could be done purely Pancharatric. And of course, the Diksha ceremony, the Vaishnava Diksha ceremony itself is a form of Pancharatric samskar. Okay? So it's like a Pancharatric samskar. But yes, there are Jatakarma, Upanayana, there are other samskaras that can be done in a Pancharatric way if you want to do them in a Pancharatric way. Normally people don't. Normally people do them in a Vedic way. But if you want to do it in a Pancharatric way, it's possible. There's some samhitas that recite that. Now, it's very interesting to note that in Hari Bhakti Vilas, let's say for Gaudiya Vaishnavas, there's no mention of any samskaras, of how to do any samskaras in Hari Bhakti Vilas. There is a mention of Vaishnava Shraddha, performing Vaishnava Shraddha, right, for the ancestors. But there's no mention of the other samskaras in Hari Bhakti Vilas. So normally we divide our samskaras into two parts. There is one called Purva Prayoga. Prayoga means a procedure. Purva means before. Before what? Before death.
Before death.
Before death. So we have from birth or from conception, through birth, through Upanayanam, childhood, through marriage, to death, up until death, right? And then after death, after the person dies, still there are ceremonies to be performed. Of course, the person can't perform his own ceremonies after death, right? He's dead. He can't do anything, right? So his son, or the person who is the karta means the doer. Sometimes the word karta is used for the soul because the soul is considered to be the doer, right? So karta means doer. So karta, you have to choose who is a karta. Usually it's the eldest son of the family. When the parents die, mother or father dies, it's the duty of the eldest son to do the antyeshti, which means the cremation, and to do all the shraddha ceremonies afterwards, to do all the different things, ekodishta, the subha swikara, whatever it is, all these different ceremonies afterwards. And it's very complex. And so it's even more complex actually than all the things that come before. So if you thought the system of the 40 samskaras during life were difficult, you should have a look at all the ceremonies that have to be done after death. So for that reason, in the ancient times, they used to have 2 priests to help you. They would have one priest who was only specifically to help you with the auspicious ceremonies of samskaras during the lifetime, and another priest to help you with the ones from death afterwards in your family. So they are called the Purva Prayoga, before death, and then the other one is called Apara Prayoga, after death. So according to Apastamba, as Krishna Yajurvedis, we are looking at Apastamba mostly, or Bodhayana. And in Apastamba there's 2 books you can buy: Purva Prayoga, Apara Prayoga. So what is done before death and what is done after death, like that. So there's two systems. So sometimes in Sri Rangam we have one devotee there, one Vaishnava who's very, very expert at all of these, but specifically he focuses more on doing all of the shraddhas and all the things after death. And had a big discussion with him this last time I was there about all the things that have to be done after death. And people don't know, but actually there's so many rituals and things that have to be done. Even throughout the year, people will have to do tarpana for the ancestors. They have to do tarpana at least. Some people are doing tarpana every day, but there are 96 times when you're supposed to be doing tarpana in a year. And even the Orthodox Brahmins in India are not doing. At most, they're doing, 4 or 8 times a year or something like that. Or some people, they're doing 12 times a year or 16 times a year. They do an Amavasya. People do Amavasya, which is the new moon day. They'll do tarpana, Amavasya tarpana. So that's quite common amongst people who are still Orthodox people. But there are actually 96 times they're supposed to be doing, and that's only 12. So there are so many rituals and so many things about ancestor worship. And like we said, I think in a previous discussion we were saying how every time you do any puja, you have to get permission from the guru, you have to get permission from Ganesh or Vishwaksena, you have to get permission from your ancestors also. If you want to do anything, any puja or anything you have to do, that is called Nandi Shraddha, Nandi Mukh Shraddha. That's mentioned in Satkriya Sardipika. In the introduction, he mentions that instead of doing Nandi Mukh Shraddha, there's some worship of Vaishnavas that you should do in Satkriya Sardipika. But normally, if you're following regular, Vedic prayogas procedures, you will have to do Nandi Mukh Shraddha. Even if you're opening a temple or building a temple or doing something like installing a deity, you have to take some permission from the previous ancestors. You have to take permission as a Vaishnava. You have to take not only from your historical lineage through your parents, because they're the ones who've given you this body, but you also have to take from the Guru Parampara. So it's not just your physical, ancestors you have to take permission from, but more importantly, you have to take from your predecessor acharyas permission. And once a year, when we change the Brahman thread for Krishna Yajurvedis Apastamba Sutra on Upakarma day, on Balaram's appearance day, Shravana Purnima, we will also do tarpana, not just for our ancestors, but we also do tarpana for all the rishis, because we are all born with different debts. We are born in debt. We're born in debt. This is called rinna. Rinna means debt. All of us are born owing something to people. So we owe our body, our existence to our parents. We owe, if we use the Vedic mantras, we owe the seers, we owe the rishis. So it's like they have to get some, we have to offer them something for giving us this knowledge. You know, the previous acharyas giving us all the knowledge of Vaishnavism. We have to offer something to them. So we are indebted to all these different, the demigods, the devatas are giving us air and land and food, and everything is coming, you know, because of different, this is why, you know, Nanda Maharaj was worshipping Indra, right? Because Indra brings the rains, the grains grow, and we eat. The cows eat the grass and we have milk. So it's only because of Indra, because of the rain, you know. So that's why he was worshipping Indra, because you have to be thankful for all these things. And once again, by chanting of Gayatri Mantra, we think of all these things. We meditate. It enthuses our meditation. We understand why we are in debt. What, you know, we're not ungrateful. We have to offer back to the Lord. Ultimately, everything comes from Krishna. Everything's given by the Supreme. So we have to know that, and we have to offer everything back to Him. And so these are just different ways of offering back to Him in different aspects. So there's a verse in Sanskrit, Akashat patitat toyam yata gacchati sagaram sarvadeva namaskaraha shrikeshavam pratigacchati. It means, Akashat means from the sky, Akasha. Patita, like Patita Pavana. Patita means falling, right? Patita Pavana means savior of the fallen, right? So Akashat Patita. Toyam. Toyam means water. So as water, Toyam, Patita falls down, Akashat from the sky, Yata, and thus Gachati goes, Sagaram, to the sea. Sagaram means sea. So as water falls from the sky and goes to the sea, Sarvadeva, all of the gods, all of the devatas, right? Sarvadeva namaskaram. The obeisances that we offer, the prayers that we offer, the namaskarams that we offer to all the gods. Keshavam pratigacchati. They actually go to Lord Narayana, Lord Krishna, Lord Vishnu. They actually go to Krishna. Keshavam pratigacchati. Keshav is Krishna, right? Keshavam pratigacchati. All these prayers, we actually go to Krishna. So even the people, the ordinary Hindus or whatever, they think they're worshipping Ganesh or Shiva or Devi, right? But actually, Sarvadeva Namaskaraha, Sri Keshavam Pratigacchati. It all goes to Krishna, ultimately, because Krishna is the source of everything, and He's giving the power to the devatas to do all these things. So when we offer anything to any of these devatas, it's ultimately going to Krishna. Just like in the fire, we're offering Swaha. Swaha is the wife of Agni. Agni has two wives, Swaha and Swada. So Swaha, when we offer Swaha, through Swaha we give to Agni. And Agni mi ile purohitam, Agni is the purohita. He takes it, he is the he's like the postman. He'll take that oblation to the different god, to the different devata. So if we say Indraya Swaha, through Swaha to Agni, to Indra, that goes. If we say Vishnave Swaha, through Swaha to Agni, obviously, and Agni takes it to Vishnu, and Vishnu ultimately goes to Vishnu. So Sarvadeva Namaskaraha, Sri Keshavam Pratigacchati. All the prayers that we offer ultimately go to Lord Vishnu, like that. So we can either pray to different aspects of the Lord, right, like the different devatas, and it can go to the Lord ultimately, or we can cut out the middleman, and we can just worship Krishna directly and offer everything to Krishna. So this is a story of in Govardhan Puja, when Krishna said to his father, why don't you cut out the middleman and offer everything to Krishna, offer everything to God anyway. But he said it in a slightly different way. He said offer to Govardhan, but then he became Govardhan. So the idea is the idea was he was trying to tell his father, you don't need to worship these demigods because automatically they're raining. They're raining everywhere. Indra's raining on the ocean also. So what? You don't have to worship him separately, right? So just worship what you know, which is Govardhan. And then he became Govardhan, so then his father was actually worshipping Krishna. So we're actually worshipping Krishna like that. So this is the inner meaning of Sarvadeva Namaskaram Shrikeshavam Pradagachati. If we start thinking about that verse, all the prayers I offer actually go to Vishnu, actually go to Krishna, then why would we bother worshipping Indra and Agni and Kuvera and all these people indirectly? This is the Vaishnava mentality. Of course, other people don't have that mentality, and they don't know about the supremacy of the Supreme Lord. They don't know that everything goes to him ultimately. Everyone follows his path, as he says in Bhagavad Gita. But so therefore they think to, as Prabhupada used to say, they're trying to pour water on the leaves of the tree and water the tree. But we are taking the water and we're saying we put it right on the root of the tree. The root of everything is Krishna. The root of everything is the Supreme Lord. So when we offer prayers to the Supreme Lord, everybody else is satisfied. Right? Right. If by satisfying Krishna, you can satisfy everybody else. What's the story about that? Do you know? What's the story? There's a story. The Pandavas were living in the forest and Draupadi had a plate. She had a special pot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and she used to feed everybody from the pot. But after she ate from the pot, and the system is that the husbands usually eat first before the wives serve the husbands and the husbands eat, and then after the husband finished eat, then the wife eats, right? Okay. I'm not saying you have to do like that, but it's a system. It's an etiquette sort of thing in a patriarchal society. Okay, whatever. Anyway, so she used to eat last, and the magical pot, when she eats after that, then that pot doesn't make any more food for the day. But until that time, it produces enough unlimited amount of food. So what happened was that somebody came and had to be fed, and some rishi. It's like somebody. It's like the Durvasa Muni story. You know, Durvasa went to the Ambarish. Some rishi. I'm not sure who it was. Anyway, in the story, we have to look it up. But somebody came and he had to be fed, but she had already eaten from the pot, so there was no more food for that day. So Krishna said, maybe you find just one little piece of rice left. Just one remnant, right? And you're not supposed to take remnant also, right? After we all eat, we don't give Krishna one piece of rice, right? Who does that? Who has a big meal with rice and everything? And there's one piece of rice left in the pot and go put it on my altar and offer it to Krishna. Who does that? Nobody does that, right? That's offensive to offer the remnants, even the remnants of prasadam, the guru, that in Brahminical society, even the remnants of a person are not to be taken, right? In the story of Ramanuja wanted to take the remnants of one person, Kanchipurna, but he wasn't a Brahmin, and his wife fed this guy at their house. And afterwards, Ramanuja came and said, where's his remnants? And she said, I threw them out. I washed the kitchen. I took a bath and I cooked again for you because you're a Brahmin and he's a Sudra. Right? So you can't take his remnants. But Ramanuja said, no, the idea is I wanted to take his remnants because he's a great devotee of the Lord. So in this story, Krishna said, if you just have a remnant, what is the word for remnant in Sanskrit? Uchista. It's not to be taken. Uchista means it can't be taken. It's unclean. Right? Like if you take a bite from an apple and you give it to somebody else, that's not considered nice. That's not nice. Remnant, okay? So Krishna said, just if you have one piece left over, like one piece of rice, give me that. So he took that, Krishna took that, and he became totally satisfied. He's satisfied anyway. He's called Atmarama. He's totally satisfied anyway. But he said, I'm now satisfied, right? And because he became satisfied, that Rishi and all the disciples also became satisfied. Yeah? So they were satisfied, so they didn't even show up for lunch because they thought, if we go, this is another etiquette too. If the guest, if you invite somebody over for prasadam to your place, right? You invite some, and they eat before they come. And they come there and you've done a big thing, you've cooked a big meal, and you want to entertain them and offer them something like that. And they say, "Yeah, I already ate. Sorry, I already ate." It's a big offense. It's a big offense. They're supposed to come hungry and they're supposed to eat something. Anybody who's ever eaten at an Indian household, they just keep putting it on your plate more and more and more. If you eat it, they'll keep putting it there like that. So if you don't want to completely max out your stomach, you need to eat slowly, and you need to just take a few bites, and maybe put the food up to your mouth and put it back on the plate. Act like you're taking a lot, but otherwise they're going to keep putting food on your plate until you're satisfied, right? Nilashu, santosham. Are you satisfied? In Tamil they say romba santosham. I'm very satisfied, no problem. So you have to be like that. It happened also in Ramanuja's time. His disciple Kurudalwar, Ramanuja wanted to, this is another story. Ramanuja wanted to take over the temple administration because the guys who were running the temple in Sri Rangam didn't like some of the things that Ramanuja wanted to make some changes in the temple administration, some of the rituals and things. And the temple administration, the guy who was in charge, didn't want to do that. Didn't like Ramanuja too much. So, but he had a Shraddha ceremony of his ancestors coming up, and he invited Ramanuja's main disciple, Kuresh, to come and eat at that Shraddha. Because what you do in a Shraddha ceremony, this is also about samskaras, when you have the Shraddha ceremony of your ancestors, you invite certain Brahmins, and those Brahmins take the place of the Ashwini Kumaras and Lord Vishnu and different devatas, and they eat. You feed them, and when they eat, that satisfies the pitris. So this Kurudalwar, he went as he was invited as a Brahmin to come and eat at the ceremony, at this Shraddha ceremony. So what happens is, when you feed the Brahmins at this ceremony, you make all this huge feast, and you feed the Brahmins, you have to ask them at the end, are you satisfied? And they have to say, Tripyata, 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 I'm satisfied, 3 times, right? We even say it when we do tarpana or something, Tripyata, 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 be satisfied, right? So satisfied, they have to be satisfied, and they have to say they're satisfied, then only is it complete. And if they're not satisfied, it's not complete ceremony, and if you don't complete the ceremony, like all these things, if you don't get it all the way to the end and complete it, it's completely ruined. So Ramanuja said, you ask him, tell him you're not satisfied, and then when he asks what will satisfy you, ask him for the keys to the temple. Right? Give me the administrative key. See, Ramanuja as a sannyasi isn't invited to that sort of ceremony. Only Grahastha Brahmin can be fed like that. So his disciple went, and he sat there and he said, I'm not satisfied. And the guy said, okay, what will satisfy you? So he said, give me the keys to the temple. Make me the administrator, basically, is what he's saying. I want to be temple president. So he said, there's nothing he could do. If he doesn't do it, the whole thing is ruined. And he is not satisfied his ancestors, and it's really bad for him, right? So he said, okay. So he gave it to him like that. So then Ramanuja took over the administration of the temple through his disciple, and they changed certain things, and they made things the way they are today, with the emphasis on proper administration and proper puja and proper festivals and all these things. So there's another story like that. So you have to know these etiquettes, though. You have to know these things about different ceremonies, how they're performed and how they have to be completed, right? Because you can't, some people think, oh, I can just do something. I'll do part of this, like that. You have to do everything completely, you know. But at the end of every ceremony, at the end of every, even every Parayanam, every chanting or whatever, we have these different prayers in case we made a mistake, in case we left anything out, in case we did something wrong. The procedure was not correct. The mantra was not correct. Something was wrong. Something was missing. The pronunciation was bad, right? We have these things. It's called aparada chamashwarpana. Aparada chamashwarpana vidi, right? Chamashwa means forgive me. So aparada means offense. So aparada chamashwarpana vidi means forgive me for the offenses. So there are many prayers. Aparada sahasrani, I perform thousands of offenses. Kriyanti hanashamaya, dasohamitim, I'm your servant. Dasohamiti mamatva, chamashwa purushottama, oh Purushottama, please forgive me. Like this, many slokas like this we know in deity worship, and we know in sacrifice, and in there's many of these in chanting. I gave those yadaksharam para brahma, the Brahma means the mistake in the things. Yeah. So anyway, there's many of these chawashmapanam. It's fresh. Leave it. Many of these things at the end of ceremonies. Okay.
Are there some good general ones? You said you sent some recently? Are there some good general ones that we can use in Homa that you recommend?
They're there in the Homa Vidi. There's many there. Well, I can point them out, but there are some in the Archana Padidi, probably also in the Pancharatra Pradeep. I'm not an expert in Pancharatra Pradeep, but in Archana Padidi they give the mantras for prayers for forgiveness of offenses at the end. I gave 2 for mistakes in chanting. There's also these ones that come in the end of every Homa. If you read the Homa Sangraha, the PDF that is put out by Rama Ramanujacharya, it'll be in there. There'll be some, maybe it's not translated. That's maybe you haven't seen it because it's not translated. But I can point them all out. But these are all there. People at the end, they'll always say, "Please forgive any mistakes." And normally it's very interesting. At the end, after saying all these prayers for forgiveness of offenses, they just say, let it all be offered to Lord Narayana, let it all be offered to Lord Krishna, and they'll say Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. By saying Krishna 3 times, everything becomes perfect. So there's many prayogas that end like that. Shri Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Just by chanting Krishna's name 3 times, everything's perfect. Yeah. So nice. So yeah. So remind me on the chat if you want some more of these things. You can go on forever. There's a in Sanskrit there's a term Naicjana Sandhanam. Naicjana Sandhanam means we always feel that we have not done everything correctly, that we've done some mistake. We always feel humble. We gave some talk about samskaras, and we made so many mistakes, and we made so many errors speaking, and whatever we said was a mistake. So we always at the end we say we beg forgiveness from anybody watching the video. Any mistake that we made, please point it out, rectify us, give us the feedback, and let us know. And we hope that you're satisfied with this explanation, or with this puja or this homa. Okay?
Okay. Well, we're very satisfied with your generous, giving the way that you give these classes, and just
the thing is you're satisfied because it's like if you have a blind man and you have a man with one eye, then the man with one eye he leads the blind man. Okay, but actually it's I know very little compared to people, great personalities in India and different places. So there are many people who know much better and much more. but whatever I know more than what you know, and if you know, of course, you may also know something that I don't know, and I need to learn from you also. So that's the important thing. When the teacher also wants to learn from the students, and the students want to learn from the teacher, no doubt. But the teacher also wants to learn from the students. And many times when we discuss things with people, I say, I don't know. I have to ask somebody else. I have to ask someone beyond my pay grade. It's above what I've been taught, like that. Or there may be different ways of looking at something, and I don't know that. And I hear that from other people, their ideas, and it gives me, it enthuses my meditation, let's say, in terms of Gayatri, right? To look into something even more closely and with even more depth, and to try to understand things in a better way, So we're always learning. We're always learning. It's not that a teacher isn't learning. Teacher's always learning, and always from interaction with other people. So we should always feel like that. And all we can do is just offer whatever we know. It's whatever little thing that we know to others, like that. And just my Agama Guru, Vasudeva Bhattacharya in Bangalore, Mysore. He used to say to me, the only way, if I tell you something, if I teach you something, the only way you can repay me is you have to teach it to somebody else. You teach it to somebody else. Remember that knowledge, see, some people in India, they think knowledge is Saraswati. Saraswati is the embodiment of knowledge, and she's a lady, she's a goddess. She has to be protected. We can't give out the knowledge to the mlechas and the yavanas and the people, we can't throw, pearls before swine. We can't give out this knowledge before everybody because it'll just be polluted, Some people think like that. We can't keep knowledge, but actually knowledge is something which can be given away. It's the only thing which you can give away and you can still keep it. You give it away and it increases. You give it away to somebody else and you still. Is there anything else that you have that you give away and you still have it? It just creates more and more. So knowledge can be spread like that. There's a story about a guru, about one teacher. It's a very interesting story. It's just a fable, There was a guru and he had 2 students. And he told the students, I'm going to give you 1 rupee. And I want you to, each of you live in a small room in the ashram. And I want you to fill your room with something to help you with 1 rupee. 1 rupee in the old days, 1 rupee was a lot of money. So he gave this to each of his students 1 rupee and said, I want you to fill your little rooms in the ashram with something for 1 rupee. That'll be beneficial for you. So one of the students, he went to the market and he bought a huge amount of hay, of cut grass, dry grass. And he put it in his room and filled the whole room up. And he was so comfortable. He could sleep for hours. He was so happy. He was so happy, because it was just a simple room he was sleeping on the floor, and now he was sleeping on this bed of hay. He was so happy. It was so soft, like that. The other student went and he bought a lamp. He bought an oil lamp, a ghee lamp with oil for 1 rupee. He bought it and he put it in his room and he filled the room with light. So he was able to stay up all night and read the Shastras and study the teachings of the Guru. So the next day, the Guru asked him, what did you fill your house? What did you do with your 1 rupee? One of the disciples said, I have got the best bed. I can sleep for so long. I'm feeling really good, And the other student said, I studied so much. I learned so much from because I filled my whole room full of light. So it's a subhasita. It's a little fable to tell you, and you have to decide which student was better, had made better use of his money, of the money that was given to him from the Guru. If you want, I'll give you this. It's in very simple Sanskrit. It's in a Learn Sanskrit book. Sanskrit Made Easy series. It's a nice little story. If you want, if you're studying Sanskrit, I can give you the story. It's very simple, but it's nice, you know. So there's so many stories like this, and they all have some, you know, some moral story, some meaning. That's why people study Panchatantra, the story about all the animals and things, and they study all these things because it's very simple Sanskrit and gives you a moral also at the end. And that, so yeah. So anyhow, I just hope I can be like the student with the light, and not the student with the putting everybody to sleep. Okay. Because we're all students. We're all students, let's face it. So I think enough for today, yeah?
Thank you
Okay.
so much.
Thank you, Swamiji. Bye.
Thank you very much. Namaskaram. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Namaskara.
Hare Krishna.